Hello, this is Jamie with Creations Misfit, and today I'm going to show you how to use the braided wheat stitch, or how to crochet the braided wheat stitch, which is all the rage now. People are using it for blankets and bags and pumpkins and scarves and hats and all the things. So I made this blanket. I'll put a picture up of the full blanket using the braided wheat stitch, and it was really easy, very simple, like 4-row repeat, and it works up pretty quickly. I used a size 4 yarn for this one, and it was the Hirschner's worsted heathered yarn. Let me tell you the colors. This was teal cake, navel. Which one was navel? I think maybe this was navel, the green, and then mystic and deep sea. So those are the 4 colors that I used. And then I also used a 5.5mm hook. This is a size 4 yarn. And today I'm just going to do a swatch so that you can learn how to do the stitch and you can use it for whatever project you'd like. And this yarn that I'm using today, I think this was Lovecrafts. I think this is a size 5 yarn, but it doesn't matter. Whatever you have on hand, you can use. It will work up the same, just smaller or larger depending on your hook size and your yarn. So let's go ahead and start the braided wheat stitch. So what you are going to do is chain up however wide you want your project, and you're going to do multiples of 2 plus 1 for a turning chain. So since I'm just going to do a small swatch today, I'll do like 14, I think, and then plus 1. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So do your multiples of 2 and then add 1 chain on. Okay, so you can pause the video, go ahead and do whatever width you need, and then when you're ready you can come back and we will move on. So for round 1 we are going to start in the second chain from the hook, so not this very first one there, but the second one, and we're just going to single crochet in every stitch across. Okay, so you should have an even number of stitches, and it's very important because that you count your stitches maybe at least for the first row or 2 to make sure that they're the same, because every so often I wasn't counting and I would get someplace in my blanket and be like, oh wait, this isn't working out to be exactly what it's supposed to be. So just make sure you're paying attention to that. So you can go ahead and single crochet all the way across, and I will have 14 stitches here. And then we can move on to round 2. So for round 2, we're going to chain up 1 and turn our work. And we're going to also single crochet in this row, but we're going to do back loop only. So if you don't know, every stitch has 2 loops. Normally we go through like the whole stitch. Sorry, I want to make sure I'm on camera here. But this is like the front loop here, and this is the back loop, and we're just going to go through the back loop of each one. So make sure you get into that very first stitch if you have to turn your work a little bit, and we're just going to single crochet in each stitch across in just the back loop only. And I'll have 14 again at the end of this row. This is a really pretty stitch, and like I said, you can use it for all different things. I think Brianna K, she has like a ton of tutorials for this stitch. I'm not sure if this is her stitch. I've seen it for a while now, but I keep seeing her name pop up for the pumpkins and different things like that. So if you'd like to make those, head on over to her channel, Brianna K, I believe it is. Okay, so moving on to round 3, we're going to chain up 1 and turn, and this is where we're going to start getting our, let's see, let me get my blanket up here. We did this row here, we're going to start getting this like puffy part here. So for round 3, we are going to start with a single crochet in the first stitch, and then we're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to do a single crochet in the next. All right, so skip this stitch and do a single crochet here, And then we're going to go back into that stitch that we just skipped, and we're going to do a modified puff stitch. And it's really easy. Just make sure that your tension is a little bit loose, because we're going to have to go through a couple different pieces on our hook. So to do the modified puff stitch, we're going, and just make sure you know exactly where you're going into that stitch that we skipped. You're going to yarn over and go into that skip stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So you'll have 3 loops on your hook, and this is where you just want to make sure that you're kind of pulling up more so than a tight stitch. And then we're going to yarn over and go back into that same space, yarn over and pull up a loop, and you'll have 5 loops on your hook. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through 4 of those loops. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through those 2. And that's your modified puff stitch. And don't worry, I'll go over it again with you. So from here, after we do the modified puff, let me just make sure. Okay, yeah, we're just going to repeat. We're going to skip the next stitch, but if you look here, we actually went into this one. Remember, we did a single crochet, and then we skipped one, and we did a single crochet, and then we went back into the skipped. So this one's already been used. So we have to skip the next and single crochet in the one after that. Do a single crochet, and then we're going to go back into that one that we skipped, and make sure you're not going into the hole, like the space here. You're actually going into that stitch, and we're going to do another modified puff stitch. So yarn over and go into that stitch, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, make sure your tension is loose, yarn over and go back into that same space, yarn over and pull up a loop, 5 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 4, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, and we're going to repeat that all the way across. Just skip the next and single crochet, and then go back and do a puff stitch into the skipped one. So I'll do one more with you. Again, make sure you're not looking at it as this one needs to be skipped, because we already did our single crochet there. So here's the next one. We're going to skip this one and do our single crochet in the next. So skip. I know I keep repeating it, but sometimes it's hard to tell when you first start out. So skip and then single crochet into that one. And then we'll go back into that skipped stitch where my nail is. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go in and pull up another loop, yarn over and pull through 4, yarn over and pull through 2. And if it's feeling really difficult to pull through, just loosen your tension. I mean, it's better to be loose than tight, because you'll just keep trying to pull through. And you can see how this is kind of starting the wheat stitch. All right, so go ahead and do that all the way to the end. And when we get to the end, we're going to have 1 stitch left, and we'll just do a single crochet there. But I'll do that with you when we get to the end. All right, I'm at the end of mine here, and I have 1 stitch left. We're just going to single crochet in that last stitch. And if you don't have a stitch left, you somehow lost your count. So you'll have to, that's why I said it's really important to make sure that you know your count, that you have an even number, and that you're not skipping the wrong stitches, because sometimes at the end of this kind of row, I would get to the end and not have an extra stitch, and I would have to go back and find where I made the mistake. So make sure that you're really diligent about counting, or just like not losing your place. All right, so from here for round 4, we're going to chain up 1 and turn our work, and we are just going to repeat round 3. So we will single crochet into the first stitch, and then from here we're going to repeat this next part throughout. We'll skip the next, which is actually the puff from before. We're going to skip that and go into the next stitch and do a single crochet. So we're going to be single crocheting on top of the single crochets from the round before. And then there's that space that we just skipped over on top of the puff stitch, and we're going to do our puff stitch in there, or our modified puff. Okay, and then we'll skip the next, which is the puff part. It's kind of a looser stitch, and then the single crochets are a little bit tighter. So skip that, single crochet in the next, go back and do our puff in the part that we skipped. And that's what you'll do all the way across. And again, you'll have 1 stitch left at the end, and we'll do a single crochet. So I'll meet you at the end. And at the end of our row here, I have 1 stitch left. So I'm going to single crochet. That's the end of round 4. Okay, so that's the middle part of your wheat stitch, and then we just have 1 more round. You're going to chain up 1 and turn your work. And to kind of close this off, we have like, you know, we started with the back loop only, and then we did the 2 rounds of puff stitches. So now we're going to do back loop only single crochets again. So make sure you're getting into that very first one and do a back loop only single crochet. And you're going to do that in every stitch across, and I will have 14 again when we get to the end here. And that's really the whole thing. On the blanket, I did 2 rows of this back loop only single crochet because I was doing it in between colors, and it just worked, or I changed colors every section. So it just kind of worked out better that way to start and end with a back loop only single crochet row for each color. So like I would finish off, wait, let me make sure. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, I already have 14. Okay, so I would do this full part for 1 color, and then I would change colors here, and then I would start again with a back loop only double crochet just to do the next color. But the regular pattern from here, you would just repeat rows 3 through 5. So 3, 4, and 5. So it's a three row repeat. Okay, so that's it. You just can use this for whatever you'd like. And I hope this was helpful. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you. I have a lot of different pattern tutorials and stitch videos, yarn hauls, yarn giveaways from time to time. And you can take a look back and see if there's anything that you are looking to make. I have like big projects, small. Most of them are beginner friendly. And if you could like this video and comment below, let me know how it worked out for you and what you plan on making with this stitch. I would love to hear that as well. I do get back to all the comments. But thanks so much for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy your braided wheat stitch. Bye.